Namaste friends, and I hope you're doing well. Today we'll be talking about the Chandra Graha or the moon. There's a very famous Vedic verse that goes Chandrama Manso Jata, which means the moon was born from the mind of the cosmic man. Now, who is the cosmic man? The cosmic man is also called as the Kala Purusha. The Kala Purusha is basically a body, a symbolic representation of a man's body from head to toe, with the various components of the universe assigned to it to correspond the body part of the symbol. Now, for example, the mind of this Kala Purusha represents the moon. The heart of this Kala Purusha represents Venus, and so on. So the celestial objects in the space is represented by this Kala Purusha. This Kala Purusha is then taken as a reference for the studies out of the Vedanta, right? The Jyotish, which is Vedic Astrology, uses this concept. Ayurvedic uses this. Vastu uses this. Even building a Hindu temple is also used as the Kala Purusha. The design of the temple from its main chamber right up to its hallway, and then its arch, its pillars, and everything that you see in a Hindu temple is associated with this Kala Purusha. Take it like a reference point for any Vedic studies. Okay. So now I just wanted to start off with saying that it's a very interesting verse, and so let's move on. Now, what are the characteristics of the moon? The moon represents the mother, just like the sun represents the father. The moon represents the mother. It has the nurturing qualities, a tendency where it's more loving and caring and being compassionate about it. And again, it's also representing the mind, right? That is the most important thing. If there's one thing that you can associate a moon, is definitely the mind. Okay, the mind is because it's first of all it's the nearest graha, the nearest planet to us. So its effect on us is very strong. Needless to say that even the tides are affected by the moon. So many things are affected by the moon, and most prominent in Vedic astrology is the mind. Okay, and thus it controls the emotional status of a person. Okay, which means if you want to understand how this person think, how does this person perceives life, how does this person looks and understands the other person, or how does this person reacts to himself or herself, you must look at where the moon is situated in his or her chart. Okay, now emotions can be like stress, peace of mind, sense of melancholy, temper, jovial, anything, any emotional state is referred to the moon. There's also a very depressive state as well. A bad moon can result into depression, hallucination, anxiety disorder, any sort of mental problems. A very strong debilitation of the moon can cause even mental retardation. There's so many things we can talk about the moon. As a matter of fact, this is a very short, I'm just scratching the surface. You can even write an entire book about what the moon and how it affects the person, very astrologically, of course. It also represents feminine, just like the sun represents masculine, the moon represents feminine. It's also called the queen of the grahas, and it's the presiding deity of the element water. Anything to do with water is represented by the moon. Okay, the auspicious color for this graha is white. It also has an interesting feature about moon is it shows a sense of purpose of a person. When you look at a person's chart, and if you want to find out his or her sense of purposeness in the life, in his or her life, then you look at the moon. It will clearly show what this person is aiming for in life, what this person needs to complete in his or her life. Okay, it represents sensuality and attractiveness, grace, good looks. This person who has strong moon is always a very sensual person. Now there can be dangers as well. A lot of adultery cases, a lot of bad marriages is also caused by a strong moon, because the moon, as you know, it has the wax and the wane. So when it's waxing, which means when it's getting bigger, it creates all the auspiciousness. When it's waning, it goes the other way around. So the moon is like it has a split personality per se, right? It also denotes a fortune of a person. If you want to know whether this person is fortunate or not, then look at the person's moon. Okay. As I was said, it gets a little bit tricky because of its wax and waning states. Now, a weak moon can cause devoid in, it can cause total failure in success. Any endeavors, if a person comes to you for reading and this person says that any attempts in my life, it just doesn't happen. It just goes away. It just fades away. Anything, from getting a job, from a marriage, to finance, to health, whatever it is, doesn't seem to work. It doesn't matter how much I try, but it still goes down the drain. So now, in that sense, one must analyze where the moon is situated, because a weak moon can cause a devoid in success. Every endeavor will fail, and this person will fall sick and even suffer even from the youth. Well, the moon also represents youth and vitality as well. So again, a weak moon, because of its controlling of the mind, it doesn't cause anything serious, anything harmful. Like a weak sun causes a person to even die, right? Because of this, of how it is influencing the person through disease and all that. But the moon has its own way of adversing a person. The moon goes through this, confuses the mind. It creates so much confusion, so much. The mind is so cluttered that it couldn't make a decision. It makes a decision after thinking hard. Let me give you an example. If you go to a shop, if a person's moon is debilitated or a person's moon is weak, for example, and this person goes to buy, goes to buy a book, right? He goes to the bookstore, and when this person is going itself, when it's on the way to the bookstore itself, the person is confused which sort of book to buy, what author, how much he's going to spend, and this sort of things. When he reaches the store, he'll be again confused on which book to buy, to purchase. And then once he buys the book, let's say after a few 30-40 minutes and finally even an hour, the person finds, okay, finally I found the right book, goes back home and then decides to read, and then he realizes that he bought the wrong book, because that's the nature of moon. It tends to confuse the person. Now what happens is the person feels very frustrated. He said, I spent hours at the bookstore and finally I bought the wrong book. What's the matter with me? Why does this happen to me? If you are one of the persons like what I just explained, then there's a high probability that moon is not situated well for you in your charts. Okay, so that's a little bit, as I mentioned, I just hardly scratched the surface about the characteristics of moon and how it would affect a person. And I hope this video would have somewhat benefited you. I'll do post more videos, and stay tuned. Namaste.